Most people hear the name Machiavelli and immediately imagine a cold, manipulative, power-hungry villain sitting in a dark room slowly petting a cat, which is unfair to the cat, but also to Machiavelli. Because the truth is, Machiavelli was not teaching people how to become evil. He was describing something far more uncomfortable: how human beings behave when power, fear, status, jealousy, and survival are on the table. And if that sounds dramatic, just look around. People still betray each other for promotions. Friends still smile while secretly competing. Families still use guilt like it came with a user manual. And online, strangers will try to destroy your reputation over a sentence they misunderstood in 0.7 seconds. Machiavelli did not create this world. He just refused to lie about it. In 1513, after being removed from political office, imprisoned and tortured, Machiavelli wrote The Prince. It was only published in 1532, 5 years after his death. For more than 500 years, people have called the book immoral, dangerous, even evil. But maybe the reason it still survives is not because it teaches cruelty. Maybe it survives because it tells the truth most polite people avoid. And the first truth is this: people do not treat you according to who you are. They treat you according to what they think you are. In 2006, psychologists Janine Willis and Alexander Todorov found that people can form a first impression of a face in just 100 milliseconds. That is 1/10 of a second. Before you explain yourself, before you prove your value, before you show your personality, someone's brain has already started building a story about you. This is why Machiavelli cared so much about appearance. Not because image is everything, but because most people never get past image. They judge quickly. They categorize quickly. Then they treat you according to that category. If you look unsure, people test you. If you look desperate, people negotiate harder. If you look emotionally reactive, people find your buttons. If you look calm, composed, and difficult to read, people hesitate. And hesitation is power. This does not mean pretending to be someone else. It means understanding that your behavior sends signals before your words do. Your posture is information. Your silence is information. Your emotional reaction is information. Even your over-explaining is information. And the brutal part? People use information. Which brings us to the second truth Machiavelli understood. Kindness without boundaries becomes an invitation. Most people are taught to be nice, be patient, be understanding, give people the benefit of the doubt, forgive, smile, don't make things awkward. Beautiful advice. Until you meet someone who sees your kindness as a weakness with free parking. Machiavelli would not tell you to stop being kind. He would tell you to stop being naive. There is a difference. Kindness is a choice. Naivety is blindness. Kindness says, I will treat you with respect. Naivety says, I will ignore every warning sign because discomfort makes me nervous. And that is where many people lose control of their lives. They stay too long in toxic friendships because they do not want to look selfish. They say yes when they want to say no because they fear disappointing people. They explain themselves to people who are not trying to understand them. They are trying to exhaust them. In 1979, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky introduced prospect theory, showing that losses often feel psychologically stronger than gains. In simple terms, humans are deeply motivated by the fear of losing something: approval, security, status, belonging. Manipulative people understand this instinctively. They do not always attack you directly. They make you afraid of losing their approval. They make you feel guilty for having boundaries. They make peace feel dependent on your obedience. And this is where Machiavelli becomes useful, not as a teacher of cruelty, but as a teacher of clarity. He reminds you that people are not always moved by goodness. Sometimes they are moved by interest, sometimes by fear, sometimes by ego, sometimes by the simple desire to feel above someone else. And if you do not understand those forces, you become vulnerable to them. But once you see them clearly, something changes. You stop taking everything personally. A betrayal is no longer proof that you were stupid. It is proof that someone chose their interest over your trust. A rejection is no longer the end of your value. It is information about someone else's priorities. A provocation is no longer a command to react. It is a test. And this leads to the third truth. The person who controls their reaction controls the room. In 1998, psychologist James Gross studied emotion regulation and found that cognitive reappraisal, changing how you interpret a situation, can reduce emotional experience more effectively than simply suppressing your reaction. That means the strongest people are not the ones who feel nothing. They are the ones who reinterpret fast. Someone insults you. Instead of thinking, I need to defend myself, you think, they want a reaction. Someone pressures you. Instead of thinking, I must answer now, you think, urgency is being used as a weapon. Someone ignores you. Instead of thinking, I am not important, you think, their behavior shows their level of respect. That pause changes everything. Because when you stop reacting automatically, people lose access to your nervous system. And honestly, that is a great subscription to cancel. This is why silence is so powerful. Not the awkward silence where you forget someone's name and hope the floor opens. Strategic silence. The silence before you answer. The silence after disrespect. The silence instead of over-explaining. The silence that says, I heard you, and I am deciding how much access you still deserve. Machiavelli understood that power often belongs to the person who reveals less. Modern psychology supports part of this. In 1975, Stephen Werkshall, Jerry Lee, and Akanbi Adewole ran a famous scarcity study using cookies. People rated cookies as more desirable when there were only 2 in a jar than when there were 10, even though the cookies were essentially the same. Scarcity changes perception. And this applies to your time, your attention, and your presence. When you are always available, people adapt to your availability. When you answer every message instantly, people assume access is guaranteed. When you explain every decision, people believe they are entitled to your reasoning. But when your presence has limits, it gains weight. This is not about playing games. It is about teaching people that access to you has value. And that brings us to the most misunderstood Machiavellian lesson of all. Power is not about dominating people. Power is about not being dominated by people. There is a massive difference. A toxic person wants control over others. A strategic person wants control over themselves. A toxic person uses silence to punish. A strategic person uses silence to think. A toxic person creates fear to feel important. A strategic person creates boundaries to stay free. That is the line. And it matters. Because without ethics, strategy becomes manipulation. But without strategy, ethics becomes defenseless. That is the balance Machiavelli forces us to confront. Can you be good without being gullible? Can you be kind without being weak? Can you forgive without giving the same person another weapon? Can you care without becoming controlled? That is the real psychological challenge. And this is exactly the kind of question we explore on Rewire Your Brain. Not how to become colder, but how to become clearer. Because clarity protects you. Clarity lets you see when someone is projecting insecurity onto you. Clarity lets you notice when guilt is being used as control. Clarity helps you understand that not every emotional reaction deserves action. The world rewards many things: talent, discipline, beauty, charisma, timing, connections. But it also rewards perception. And perception is built through repeated signals. Every time you keep your word, you build reputation. Every time you stay calm under pressure, you build authority. Every time you set a boundary and keep it, you build respect. Every time you walk away from a pointless fight, you build self-command. Robin Dunbar's work on gossip and social information suggests that human conversation is deeply tied to reputation, alliances, and social monitoring. In other words, people are always building stories about each other. You cannot fully control what people say, but you can control the pattern you give them. This is why Machiavelli still matters. Not because the world needs more manipulation. It already has plenty. We are fully stocked. Machiavelli matters because he gives language to things people experience but do not always understand. The fake friend, the smiling competitor, the guilt-tripping relative, the charming manipulator, the person who loves your kindness only when it benefits them. His message is not, "Become evil before others do." His message is, "Stop being surprised when humans behave like humans." So here is the modern Machiavellian code. Do not reveal everything immediately. Do not confuse kindness with unlimited access. Do not let emotional people rent space in your nervous system. Do not chase approval from people who benefit from your insecurity. Do not explain your boundaries to people committed to crossing them. Do not mistake silence for weakness. And do not let anyone convince you that self-protection is cruelty. Because real maturity is not trusting everyone. Real maturity is knowing who deserves trust, who deserves distance, and who deserves absolutely nothing but a polite nod and a password change. Machiavelli was not evil. He was early. He saw that human nature has shadows. And instead of pretending those shadows did not exist, he studied them. That is what strategic people do. They do not become paranoid. They become observant. They do not become cold. They become selective. They do not become cruel. They become difficult to exploit. And maybe that is the real lesson. In a world full of masks, the goal is not to wear the darkest one. The goal is to see clearly enough that nobody else's mask controls your life. So tell me in the comments, do you think Machiavelli was dangerous because he taught manipulation, or because he told the truth too clearly? And until next time, stay calm, stay sharp, and remember, power is not becoming someone people fear. Power is becoming someone people can no longer easily use.